Everybody wants to be rich, but nobody wants to be disciplined like the rich. We want to go party, we want to be extravagant, we want to show the world that we have made it. Look around you. No rich person is flaunting their wealth. They are very down to earth. You don't see them chasing the latest trends in fashion, in technology, and what have you. They know how to play low and play rich. Thus, in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you at least the 9 basic finance principles that will make you rich before the year ends. Stay tuned, like the video, subscribe to this channel. Let's go. Principle number 1, track every shilling. I know it sounds like a cliche, but it works. You want to know where you spend your money and on what you spend your money on. If you don't know that, how are you going to keep track with all the expenses and income? This is very simple. Even before I started practicing this, I used to write every income that I would make on a piece of paper. Then I never used to write any kind of expenses. I was only concentrating on the income. Then I advanced to Excel spreadsheet. Now there I had at least some freedom to list things plus the costs and my strings of income plus the amount I earn. That way I could tell by the end of the month how much I made and how much I have spent. I later realized that I need to break everything down. If it is some 20 shillings, what did I do with the 20 shillings? If it's 100 shillings, what did I do with 100 shillings? You break it down so much that you even account for the transaction fees that you are deducted when you do some transactions via mobile money transfer. Therefore, I went to Play Store and I downloaded an app called Money Tracker. This is a very simple and user-friendly app to use that helps you manage your finances. It lists all your income on one side, your expenses, and even your transfers on some other tab. Therefore, it is easy for you to classify your income, expenses, and transfers. I got a friend of mine from church to send me a screenshot of her Money Tracker app. Let's look at it and go through it together. You can see how much she's making, how much she's spending, and then what she's making on it on and what she's spending it on. This app even gives you the percentages of everything that you spend and on what you spend. And it also gives you a very nice graphical representation of all your income and all your expenses. You can download any other app that you feel like using. Point is, you need to track every expense you make, because if you don't know what you are making and on what you are spending it on, how are you going to be able to manage your finances? This is the basic principle that all rich people you see out there do. They must track their expenses. They must know up to the last penny what they made and what they spent it on. Moving on to the second basic finance principle. Let's talk about the 20-50-30 rule. Let's break it down. The 20 is the money you put away for your savings and future investments. The 50 is the money you put aside for your needs, which are the rent, the bills, health, and all other things. And the 30 is the money you put aside for your wants. That is for your new gadgets, for you going out, and such other stuff. Later on this video, I'm going to explain to you why I begin with 20, then 50, then the 30%. But let's go back to my friend's screenshots of the Money Tracker app. By just looking at this, you can see that her needs are rent 32%, food and shopping 18%, tithe 7%, healthcare 5%, and labor 6%. That gives you a total of 68% on the needs. In my rule, I'm telling you that 50 should be your needs. But remember, this is the 60% of all our expenses, not all our total income, just the expenses. Onto the wants, she moves around a lot using nduthi or boda boda. She doesn't like to walk. Therefore, 8% of our total expenses are on entertainment and transportation. 24% of all our expenses are going towards payment of loans. That's a very huge amount, by the way. Remember, it's the percentage of our expenses, not our entire income. If we move to this next summarized tab, you can see that she spent 72,000 for her expenses. And when we move on to the income tab, you can see that she earns 87,979 Kenya shillings. This is one loaded friend I have, my guys. Well, if you deduct our expenses from our income, we are left with a balance of 15,479, which she tells me goes to savings. This is not a perfect example because, as you can see, she is literally not following the rule of 20-50-30. But it is at least a genuine example, and I decided to use this because at least it shows how things are on the ground. You might want for you to strictly adhere to this, but things happen. You could want to start right now with this rule, but you have some loans you have to pay. Maybe an emergency has just happened and you needed to use some money on that. That is the only reason that I use this example, because it is a true representation of how real life works. But looking from that, if now you take all those percentages as of the income, you realize that the needs drop to around 60%, the loans drop to about 20%, and the wants drop to about 6%, which is still within the range we are talking about. Therefore, if you can, always dedicate at least 20% to your savings, 50% to your needs, and 30% to your wants. And the only section where there is a lot of issues is on the 50% of the wants. Because this is where people become extravagant, they inflate their lifestyle, the wants go through the roof. You can cut down on the wants and then you can increase the 20% to about 30% so that you can save more and maybe you achieve your future goal or your investment goal or starting a business goal even faster. Let's go to the basic finance principle number 3, that being cut unnecessary expenses. Before making any purchase, ask yourself, do I need this? I need maybe a better camera. I'm literally using my phone. I need a microphone. I really don't have one right now. The one I had just got spoiled. But do I have to have them for me to make this video? No, they are not necessary. They could make my videos better, but for now, since I'm starting small and I'm trying to grow at a slower pace, I really don't need them. They are not necessary. I don't have to go and buy like a 60,000 Kenya shillings camera, a 15,000 ring light and lighting setup. I don't need all that. Whatever I have, it's working. I can use it for now. Secondly, avoid impulse purchases. Sometimes I'm just browsing through Kilimall and I see some really nice stand, I see some really nice ring light, I see some really nice microphone, and my entire being is telling me to just purchase it. This is what I do. I place it on the cart and then I log out of the app. And then I wait for the next day. If I log into the app again and I'm feeling the same rush and the same want to buy it, I'll buy it. Let me tell you a secret. More often than not, I no longer want to buy it. I've calmed down, I've thought of other things that I could have done with that money, and now I'm totally convinced that I really don't need this. That is how you overcome impulse buying. Delay it. Is your body and every ounce of you telling you to purchase that thing? Yes. Hold on it, sleep on it. If by tomorrow morning you're still feeling the same, go ahead. If you're no longer feeling the same, then it worked. The third thing that you can do to cut unnecessary spending is to turn down on most of your subscriptions. For example, almost all of you have internet in your houses, right? Some of you have even 30 Mbps. Why would I be paying 15,000 Kenya shillings for internet that I use for like 4 hours in a day? I go to work at 8 a.m. I return into the house from work at 8 p.m. I only have 12 more hours. Before I prepare myself, before somebody cooks, I eat so that I can now relax and be able to log into the internet and use that internet. It's about 2 hours to my bedtime. Yet I'm paying premium. What is it for? I could turn that down to at least 5 Mbps where I'm paying 2,500 per month and save an entire 12,500. That money you can add into your savings account or investment portfolio. You can do a lot with that money every month. The DSTV subscriptions you guys have out here are just crazy. And the worst part is that you don't even need them. Let's move on swiftly to the fourth basic finance principle. Always pay yourself first. Remember when I changed that rule to 20, 50, 30? The 20 is for savings. I put it first intentionally. You need to save first. You pay yourself through saving, through investing. It's not like you give yourself money and you put it in the pocket. You're still gonna spend it on the needs. So you put that money on your savings or on your emergency fund or on your investment projects that you have running. This is easily said than done. It is the hardest thing to do. You need to spend money on this and that, so you find yourself that you have already used all the money you had before you could even save it. Let's solve that problem right now. The easiest way that I found about this is just having automated savings. I know it sounds very difficult and very hard to do, but this is how you do it. You go to your bank, you open a fixed deposit account or a savings account. Then you talk to your bank and you tell them the moment your salary is deposited into your current account, they deduct the 10% into your savings account. So before you even think of withdrawing your money, your savings have already been deducted and placed into your saving account, which are inaccessible for whatever amount of time that you have set with your bank. Therefore, you have automated your savings. There is an extreme version of this too, the one that I have once done and I've advised many people to do, and they have done it and it was a success. This is how you go about it. You need to start a business that is worth 400,000 Kenya shillings. Let's say a cyber cafe. If you have that salary of 50,000 Kenya shillings and you need to save the 20%, which is 10,000 Kenya shillings, it will take you 4 years for you to save 400,000 Kenya shillings to start that business. How do you hack the system and get the 400,000 Kenya shillings immediately? This is what you do. You go to your bank, you get a loan worth 400,000 Kenya shillings payable after 4 years. Then you go, you set up your business. Let's say, for example, the cyber business. That's a business with a minimum guaranteed income of 2,000 Kenya shillings per day, 60,000 Kenya shillings per month, 600,000 Kenya shillings in 10 months. In a year, you will have made enough money to match your 400,000 Kenya shillings. Let's call it 500,000 Kenya shillings if you add interest, because you are going to pay it over a long period of time and inflation. It just means in 1 year, you will have broken even from the amount you took from the bank. Remember, you are not using the money from the business to pay the loan. That is being sought out by the reductions from your salary. This means that you have cheated the system into getting the loan now and running it for the next 4 years, with you making an equivalent of that loan every half an year for the next 4 years. So by the time you are done paying that loan, the business you started with the loan has made you enough money to start 8 other businesses as the one you took the loan for. Genius, my G, right? I know. That is what we call good debt. You take the debt, you use it to earn you income. So by the time your salary is getting done with paying your loan, you are way far ahead, as opposed as if you would have waited for your savings to accumulate to the 400,000 Kenya shillings. Go try this strategy, thank me later, that's why I'm here. And by the way, if you feel like this video is tickling some pickles, kindly hit on the subscribe button if you have not subscribed already. Kindly like this video. Kindly share the link to this video. Help your friends too. Dream ni kutoka kwa blog, not just you, but you and everyone else. That is the reason I make this video. Moving on. The fifth basic finance principle is setting financial goals. Some people are just going through life without goals, let alone financial goals, but even life goals. Wewe huko tu, unaamkanga, unalala, unaamka, unalala, repeat. You need to set some financial goals. How do you go about it? There are 3 types of goals. The first one being short-term goals. These are the simple goals that you can accomplish in less than 2 to 3 months. For example, you have a 5,000 Kenya shillings Mshwari loan that you need to pay back as soon as possible. How do you go about it? You sacrifice paying 100 Kenya shillings only daily for you to pay that loan. It will take you only 50 days for you to complete paying that loan, less than 2 months. That's a short-term goal. You could decide that when you get your salary, you just take that 5,000 Kenya shillings and you just pay off that debt. You don't even think about anything. It could be your pay yourself first strategy. You just do it and you are done with it. But let's stick with the 100 Kenya shillings strategy for now, because I'll use it to explain all the other financial goals. Let's go to the second one, the midterm goals. Now you are done paying your Mshwari. So what do? You keep saving that 100 Kenya shillings every day. Don't say because you have finished paying the loan, now you can go treat your body, urudishe mwili shukrani. If you save 100 bob per day, in a year you'll have saved 36,500 by just saving 100 Kenya shillings per day. If you can now be able to get a loan of only 20,000 Kenya shillings, you can be able to afford a second-hand motorcycle that you can use as a boda business. You can just look around your hood. There is always one hardworking, honest young person that needs the job and the money. You give them that motorcycle, and that motorcycle could be making you 400 Kenya shillings per day, because you just sacrificed 1 year of saving 100 Kenya shillings. Are you progressing or not? It means that in 2 months you will be able to pay back the 20,000 that you had taken as loan. Akili mtu wangu. Now let's talk about long-term goals. Let's say you have always wanted to get into the transport industry, right? Remember, you're still saving the 100 Kenya shillings per day. You're also making 400 Kenya shillings from your motorbike. That's 500 Kenya shillings per day. If you save the 500 Kenya shillings per day, in a year, you will have saved 182,500 Kenya shillings. In 3 years, you will have saved 547,000 Kenya shillings. At this point, because you are saving and you have a good relationship with your bank, the bank can now be able to lend you at least 1 million Kenya shillings, payable maybe even in 4 years again. What do? You take that 1 million, you add your 547,000 Kenya shillings, you go get a highest 11-seater matatu, you put it on the road. That thing will be making you at least 3,000 Kenya shillings per day. That's 90,000 Kenya shillings per month. That's 1,080,000 Kenya shillings in a year. Which means in a year you will have made back enough money to pay back that loan which you had taken from the bank. Are you progressing or not? All of a sudden you're in a position where you're making 3,000 Kenya shillings per month in less than just 3 years. If you were in the corporate world, for you to get from a salary of 50,000 Kenya shillings to a salary of 90,000 Kenya shillings, it will take you at least 10 to 15 years for you to get the promotions and the papers and the experience for you to be able to be paid that amount of money. You just have to be smart about some things. You could keep your corporate work, but also you're doing something on the side. Don't just be a sitting duck. Let's get to the 6 basic finance principle that you need to learn. That is to avoid debt traps. I don't mean to chafulia any company name, but let's talk about M-Kopa and other lipa mdogo companies out there that are giving you gadgets and whatever for you to pay over periods of up to 2 years. Those are debt traps. You get a phone that is worth, let's say, 15,000 Kenya shillings. And by the end of the year, you have paid around 30,000 Kenya shillings for that same phone. If you would have saved that amount that you are depositing daily, by the end of the year, you would have the 30,000, which means you could have bought 2 of those phones. Avoid debt traps. That is the form in which they come. These 2 app loans, sijui mara Okash, mara sijui Lipa Cash, sijui mara what cash. You get a loan of 4,000, but by the time you are done paying that loan, within a month, you've paid an interest of about 70%. And if you try and miss a deadline, they will call even your aunt, your mother, even your dead grandfather and ancestors. What kind of life is that? Avoid this debt trap. You will be in a cycle of debt. It is a very terrible cycle, especially for a young person. You never grow yourself out of it. You never get yourself out of it. The 7th basic finance principle that most millionaires and billionaires and entrepreneurs and everyone that you think have money use is that they always find ways to increase their income. If you're employed, learn a high income skill. I know this is not the best example to use here, but learn forex trading. Read the books about it. Watch videos about it. Know which agents to use, which apps to use, which commodities to trade on, which currencies to trade on. This way you can be making money while you are still on your job. One window is on work, the other window is on your daily trading. You could make some really good money with this. That's just like a side hustle. You could be very good at video editing. Over the weekends, there are very many people shooting weddings, birthday parties, and whatever. Offer your services. I taught myself how to edit videos. Now, I edit videos for people who go to their birthdays or whatever in clubs and they want like a 30-minute video from the clips that they are taken from the clubs. I charge 2,000 per service. A 20-minute video, 2,000. A 30 minutes video, 3,000. As simple as that. And it is something that will not even take 30 minutes of my time. It's just joining the cut parts and the different videos that they have and maybe adding some effects, some filters, and that's it. I'm done. Using a free software, CapCut, 3,000 Kenya shillings. And I almost make this almost on each and every weekend. I know it's guaranteed. Find ways to increase your income, no matter how small, even if you're increasing it by 10%. The 8th basic finance principle that rich people use. They build emergency funds. Always. How do you survive without an emergency fund? What if something terrible happens? You have nothing. Zero savings, zero emergency fund, nothing. Then you find yourself in a really tricky place. I have a video somewhere in this YouTube channel about creating an emergency fund. I therefore beg you to just go and watch that video. It will save your life. Trust me, I know. The reason why I love an emergency fund is that it saves you from debt. Remember those debt traps? The moment you have an emergency fund, it is very hard for you to go getting some weird, questionable, high interest debts from some weird apps. Set up a 3 months to 6 months emergency fund. Let's go to the last basic finance principle that you need to learn. Always think like an investor. Remember that example about the Nduthi and saving 100 Kenya shillings daily? That's how investors start. You start with the small monies, small side hustles, businesses, then you end up into manufacturing, product-based businesses. Kidogo you end up now into the money market funds, the shareholding, the games of rich people. If you don't teach yourself how to invest the small money that you have from a very younger age or for some period of time, you won't just wake up in the morning and all of a sudden you are wise enough to invest in stocks. I wish it was that simple, but it is not. Therefore, always learn to think like an investor. Start with one of those 9. Pick one, pick any, the one that suits you at the level of life that you are in. Thank you for staying to this point. Kindly subscribe to this channel, and I'm still doing the 30 videos in 30 days challenge. Wish me luck, all the best, and Wakanda forever.